Okay, welcome back. If you guys have made it this far to the fringes of typology, the 5 people that are listening probably at this point, welcome back. This is going to be a short video on some peculiarities of TI and TE dominant people. So this will be a quick video on some characteristics that you can use to identify whether somebody is TE dominant or TI dominant. First off, we're going to be looking at TE dominant people and a strict definition for what TE dominance or extroverted thinking dominant is referring to is that this is a mindset in which thinking is oriented towards the object as opposed to the subject. And what does that mean? That means basically that to these people, everything is subordinated to objective thinking, or to thinking that is focused on something external rather than something internal. So what you'll notice is someone that is TE dominant, these people are the types that are most confident speaking as if everyone agrees with them, or as if their reasoning is obviously correct. So in other words, they'll point to something external that they'll consider to be objective, and they'll build reasoning around that. And anything that goes against that, so say someone else's reasoning, so some introverted thinking person talks to somebody that is an extroverted thinker, the extroverted thinking dominant person is likely to go against that other person's subjective reasoning because it doesn't agree with what they see as objective facts.
I did make up my own mind where Paul said that every person needs to be persuaded in their own mind. If you may recall in the Bible, in the book of Romans, where people in the church were bickering about whether or not you literally should eat meat or herbs, Paul said, people you interpret the Bible according to being fully persuaded in your own mind.
Is it
That's how
possible
I
you
believe.
could be wrong now?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Is it possible that you could be wrong?
No, absolutely
Okay,
not.
okay. So that's where we differ. You can't imagine how you can possibly be wrong, and I question myself all the time. Voltaire said
I would
that
if I were you.
and if I were you, I would question myself too.
Let me do this.
Have you ever changed your mind about anything?
I have.
Okay. And why don't?
But that's why I'm
but
glad
in
that
order
you
for
at
you to
least
change your
question it.
mind, you had to think about their other possibilities, right?
That's why I'm glad that you're at least thinking about the way you feel about Christianity and abortion now and sin and all that, because you are wrong, and by you thinking about it, maybe you get back on the right track.
Next up, we have TI dominant people, and by comparison to TE dominant people, these are the types that have thinking oriented towards the subject as their dominant function. So by contrast to TE dominant people, here everything is subordinated to subjective rather than objective thinking. These are the types most confident speaking as if no one else agrees with them, as opposed to TE dominant people who will speak as if everyone in the room already agrees with them. And introverted thinking is a bit haughty here because they'll speak as if their reasoning is correct only to, say, a few really smart people or a few people that can put together their logic. Whereas the TE dominant people are like, yeah, this is an obvious fact. The TI dominant people are like, well, it's not obvious because you're stupid. And to be clear here, thinking dominance or being a TE dominant or a TI dominant person doesn't mean you're smart. It just means that you're likely to talk a certain way. So a TE dominant person is likely to talk as if what they're saying is fact, whereas a TI dominant person is likely to speak as if no one else agrees with them because no one else knows what they know. And on that note, a TI dominant person is likely to go against objective reasoning from other people that they don't see as logical truth. And for an example, we have here a musician. We have Frank Zappa, a celebrity musician, and he's talking about the charts. And the charts in music are something that you can objectively point to. You can say, okay, well, this person is 8 in the charts, so whoever is number 1 in the charts wrote a better album, or their album sells more, so therefore their music is better. Or another extroverted thinking argument could be, this critic wrote a review, and the critic gave you 1 or 2 stars or gave you a poor review, therefore your album is not good. It's not good music. So an introverted thinking dominant person can say, well, who cares whether or not you think my music is good? I expected you to think my music isn't good because you're stupid. And that's basically the argument made here by Frank Zappa. He's saying, I make music that I like. If you don't like it, don't listen to it. So to a critic, the critic could say, oh, this is objectively a bad album. He could be like, all right, well, if you don't like it, why'd you listen to it? You're the idiot that's listening to music that you don't like. And in summary, neither TE or TI is better than the other. If you get a TE dominant and a TI dominant person in the room together and they disagree on something, they can go at it until they're blue in the face, and that's because one person is arguing based on what they think are objective facts, and then the other person's going on what they think is subjective reasoning that is logically true. So they both think they're right, they both think they're smarter than the other person, when in reality, that's open to interpretation.
Can you, if you had to, or if I asked you to, and if you chose to answer the question, could you sum up Frank Zappa in a few sentences?
Which one?
Frank Zappa,
The industrial strength Frank Zappa?
The industrial strength Frank Zappa.
I'm a person who likes to do what he wants to do and has worked at it for 20 years and can generally do what he wants to do, whether people like it or not. And what I do is designed for people who like it, not for people who don't. And I have no desire to inflict it on people who don't want to consume it. And I'm committed to turning out as much of it as possible for the people who like it. It's there if you like it. If you don't like it, there's all those other names on the list.
What a great attitude. That's neat.
It's called rational thinking.